Alright, so we're going to try to briefly explain here on the wiring for these speakers. It's a little hard for the camera to focus on something this small, so hopefully we can get a good enough detail. Now these are the jack plates they ordered off the internet. You can find these for about $5 to $10 a plate depending on where you get them. You can find them on eBay. These actually have on this side, these ones are from Seismic Audio. They're a good website for speakers and parts and gear. You should check them out, seismicaudio.com. They have a lot of really good products on there. So these plates actually have 2 1/4" and 2 speak-on jacks on these plates. Now the way these are actually wired together is that everything is wired in parallel. Now wiring it in parallel means that you will get the lower ohms resistance when hooking more than one speaker up. So most monitors are set up this way, and most PA cabs are set up this way to where you have a single woofer cab will be an 8-ohm speaker. So if you plug into the input of any one of these, can be an input or also an output. So you can plug an input into the 1/4" and another one out of this 1/4", and it will be the same. It doesn't matter, it doesn't actually link from one to the other. They're all connected together, so it doesn't matter which one you plug into, it will all go to the speaker and will all be able to send a signal to the next speaker. Now, easy way to do this, so we look at the speaker jack on the back. Now the speak-on inputs have actually 4 tabs on them. It's kind of hard to see here, but if you buy your own, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now it's because speak-on can actually send 2 separate signals through one cable. We're not going to be using that for this application, so we're only going to use 2. So if you look at it, this top one up here, this one is the negative, and this one over here is the positive. This is the only 2 we are using. So you see on this plate, all the negatives are connected together. So the negative over here, the negative here, comes down to the negative on this one, and the negative on this one over here. Now the negative on 1/4" jacks is always the sleeve. So a 1/4" jack is actually called a TS connector, a tip sleeve or a tip ring sleeve, which is the ones that can actually be used for stereo or balance input. Now these ones just will take a regular tip sleeve adapter. So the ring around it is always the cold. So any part, this is the shaft part of the 1/4" cable, and you're looking at a 1/4" cable, is actually the cold. The hot is actually at the tip. So that's where the negatives connect. They're all connected together. Now if you look up here, all the positives are connected exactly the same way. So we have up here, this is our positive lead coming around and connects to this one, and then that one connects to this one, and it's wired to the other one. So all these are connected together. Now if you have any complications with trying to figure this out, you can always look at wiring patterns on the internet, or there's lots of diagrams you can find. So if you're not real sure about wiring, it's not that hard as long as you have a soldering iron, you know how to solder. It's pretty simple to do, so you can just get it and mimic it to where they're connected like this. If you get your own plates, you could use this same design if you're going to be wiring yours in parallel. Now we are hooking 2 speakers into these boxes, so they're both an 8-ohm speaker. So wiring them in parallel will actually make them a 4-ohm load at the speaker. So we won't be connecting 2 speaker cabs together. So if you look on this one, this is the other jack that we're going to be using. So this one is actually a little bit different. It actually just uses a separate bar for each one rather than a tip like it does on the other plate. So these are a little more modern designed. Now if you look up here, this is our actual wires that come off of the speaker. So there's actually 2 sets of wires off this. Now this is what it actually is being parallel wiring, is that they're both connected on the same. Series is if we were to run from one connection point on the jack to one speaker and then daisy chain the other speaker to that speaker, would actually be in series, which means you double the ohm. So 2 8-ohm speakers would be 6 ohm. But because they're wired in parallel, 2 negatives attached to a point, to posit attached to the point, and then you have 2 separate wires coming off that will go to each speaker. So this is actually a parallel wiring setup to where you hook to each speaker at 8 ohms, you will get a 4 ohm load at the cab. So you'll get the maximum wattage out of the amp for its 4 ohm load. Alright, now that we have our box done, it's cut out, put together, there's a few different ways you can go about covering it. The first and easiest, cheapest, and of course looks the cheapest, is to just spray paint it or paint it with some sort of enamel or black paint, but it's not going to look really good. It's going to look really cheap. Second way is that you can buy the vinyl type plastic covering that you'll see on some cheaper end speakers. Will have kind of a rubbery texture to them. It's basically put on just like a wallpaper. You can do that, or the third way is pretty much what you're going to see on every type of professional speaker and car speaker box, is going to be speaker box carpet. It's actually just an automotive grade carpet and is primarily used for speaker boxes. It's also used on your floors of your cars, but then they put a backing on it. But you can order this type of carpet from the internet. You can just Google speaker box carpet and you will find all sorts of ads for them. You can find it on eBay. PartsExpress.com is another good place that sells all sorts of speaker building accessories, and you can also find it on Amazon, things like that. So you can see the basic way we covered this is we went the long direction around the box. So we just started in one corner and then wrapped it all the way around. So there's one solid wrap all the way around the box. So you can see this is all one solid piece. No cuts, no breaks, nothing. One piece all the way around, back to the front. Of course, we cut out for the holes and then cut out our slit and just taped the back end. Now what we put down to stick this is a 3M high strength adhesive. You want to use a spray adhesive. You could use a brush on adhesive, but it'd be more of a pain to deal with. The spray is the easiest to do. So it's pretty self-explanatory to spray it on both sides, the carpet and the wood, and it sticks to itself. And you can wrap the box just like that. Now a complicated part is when it gets to the end, and I'm going to show you specifically how to do this to make it easier.
Turn